You were obviously on the night of the last really powerful storm, 1987. Is this shaping up to be as powerful, as devastating?
Well, present thoughts are no. Present thoughts are it's comparable. Let me just cheat on a piece of paper. 3 storms it's comparable to: March 2008, January 2007 and October 2000. Now, I haven't had time to look at the data to see how strong they were and how much damage they caused, but they certainly weren't as powerful as the 1987 storm. And after all, that was the most powerful storm since 1703 or something. So that was a real record breaker, that one.
And as we were just discussing before we went to air, it isn't yet properly formed, is it,
no.
the storm centre? That makes forecasting very difficult.
This is a totally amazing thing. I mean, the modern computers are able to literally invent these things in thin air. No human being could have done this. 5 days ago, before the event, the computer told us that this storm was going to develop way out on the western Atlantic and come whistling across the Atlantic and batter the British Isles. And of course, with all that information and the fact that it's so far in advance, we can warn the public and everybody can take precautions which many years ago just wouldn't have been possible.
Going back to 1987, when you were on the evening before those storms, it was difficult to know, wasn't it, the path of the storm, let alone the strength of the storm?
That's exactly it. Actually, I was on lunchtime before, but what that storm did, 5 days in advance, the Meteor's computer, and of course it wasn't the same giant that we have now, but it was still capable of saying 4 or 5 days in advance that this storm was going to head in a certain direction across the British Isles. But what the little blighter did at the last moment, it changed course, and instead of following the track that had been predicted for 4 or 5 days, all of a sudden, right at the last minute, it decided to turn left and moved a bit further north. And these really vicious, deepening storms have a habit of that.
Well, I was going to ask, that obviously caught you and others out that day. Could that happen this weekend?
It's possible. If anything does change, the storm most likely may turn a little bit further north than is predicted at the moment, which means that more of England and Wales will be affected by the strong winds. There is a possibility that it will turn south, but of the two, if it doesn't keep to the track that's been forecast, it could just head a little bit north. We also must remember that we're not talking entirely about wind. We are talking about heavy rain as well. There could well be some localised flooding in North Wales and northern parts of England. And we must also bear in mind, for our friends on the continent, that the storm is still developing, and as it heads towards Denmark, northern Germany and Sweden, it could give them a real bashing.